Hello, Aries. If you stopped here today, trust me, nothing about this moment is random. There's a quiet reason the universe wanted you to hear this because something is about to happen that could shift the entire direction of your life. Sometimes, while we're rushing through the noise of everyday living, there's a single, almost invisible moment small enough to miss that silently rewrites everything. A strange call in the middle of the afternoon, a glance from a stranger on a street corner, a quiet pull in your chest that feels like a soft bell ringing in the wind. Aries, that's how the universe speaks to you. Not in the language of logic, but in the voice of the soul. You, the warrior born from fire, are used to loud sounds, ambition, passion, the rhythm of battle. But this time, the sound comes from somewhere else, from the stillness between two breaths, from that fragile light between dusk and dawn. It's there in that gentle space where destiny knocks. Not with thunder, not with glory, but in the humble shape of something you'd never expect, a simple visit to a lottery shop. Many would laugh and call it coincidence. But those who've lived long enough, who've lost and risen again, they know better. They know nothing is random. Every step, every encounter is placed like notes in an ancient song. And sometimes all it takes is a pause, just one quiet heartbeat, for life to whisper what you've been waiting to hear. I've seen people miss their miracles because they were too busy thinking. They dismissed the signs because they didn't fit their plans. But Aries, you were born to trust your first instinct, to believe in the nameless call only your heart can hear. Maybe it's a place you've passed 1,000 times, but today the wind shifts, and something inside you knows you can't ignore it. The physical world often makes us doubt, but those who look deeper understand. Every ordinary thing hides something sacred. A piece of paper, a number, a passing glance, any of it can be the universe at work. And sometimes, the message that will change your life is waiting in the place you least expect. This isn't a story about luck. It's a story about awakening. When your heart becomes still enough to see meaning in the smallest details, you step into the frequency where your soul and the universe meet. And there, miracles stop being surprises, they become the natural result of alignment. I believe each of us has an invisible appointment, a destined moment where the soul wakes up in the middle of the ordinary. Maybe that moment is approaching for you. It won't come with fireworks or cheers, just a deep breath and the quiet knowing that you're being called. If you've ever felt something ordinary suddenly turn sacred, cherish it. That was the universe speaking directly to you. Remember it, share it. Because sometimes, when you tell the story that once touched your soul, that same light reaches someone who desperately needs faith tonight. And as those whispers grow clearer, you'll realize something powerful: the universe never stays silent to those who know how to listen. From the moment you open your heart, a new energy unfolds. Signs begin to line up in perfect sequence, as if life itself had written every scene long before you arrived. And somewhere, between the chaos and the calm, you'll feel it, a faint current of light pulling you forward, a coincidence brushing against your heart, and you'll know you're walking in the right direction. Sometimes, we don't plan for a special day, and yet, somehow, that day becomes a quiet turning point of destiny. A normal morning, you wake up like always, pour yourself a cup of coffee, look out the window, and you have no idea that the universe has already tied an invisible thread, waiting for you to take hold. It doesn't arrive with thunder or a vivid dream. It comes as a whisper, soft, certain, like someone gently saying inside your mind, "Today, take that road, go there." Aries, you are a creature of action, of speed, of instinct. So when that whisper comes, you rarely overthink it. You move, and that's the very moment the magic begins. Maybe you're just heading out to pay a bill or taking a short walk to clear your thoughts. But the instant your feet cross that familiar doorway, something shifts. A voice behind you, a number flashing on a screen, a stranger's kind smile, and your heart tightens, just a little, as if it knows. This means something. Strange, isn't it? how the smallest things can suddenly carry so much weight. It's as if someone unseen is writing a story where you are the main character, and the universe itself is the hidden narrator. Those coincidences, they're not random at all. They're how the sacred world speaks to us. I've met people who told me their lives turned around, not because of grand events, but because of one small sign, a song that played with the exact words they needed, a billboard that appeared the very moment they were lost in thought, a line of text on a lottery ticket that touched something deep inside their soul. Moments like that make us believe no matter how chaotic life seems, there is always an invisible hand guiding the way. When you begin to live with that gentle awareness, the world expands. Everything finds rhythm and reason. You stop seeing life as a series of separate events and start hearing it as a conversation. Every sign becomes an answer. Every waiting moment becomes a question whispered to the heavens. And often, the reply comes from the least expected place: a lottery ticket on the ground, a shimmer of light in your eye, or just the feeling, I'm meant to be here, right now. The miracle is this: once you understand the language of the universe, fear begins to fade. You learn to trust the current. You realize you don't need to control everything, because a deeper order is quietly at work. That, Aries, is the truest lesson of all: to live as if everything is speaking to you, because it is. Take a moment and look back at your own life. Was there ever a small sign, something simple that ended up changing everything? A decision you made simply because it felt right, and suddenly, all the doors opened? Share that story, because somewhere, someone might need your light to believe again. And if you're hearing this right now, maybe this right here is a sign too, a signal that you are exactly where you need to be, that the universe has never forgotten you. Every breath, every heartbeat is its way of saying, have faith, the miracle is on its way. And when you finally allow yourself to walk with that faith, the world begins to respond. The light within you meets the light around you, and together, they create a new frequency, the frequency of awareness, of awakening. And just as you begin to understand this quiet, sacred language, a new challenge softly emerges, no longer from the world outside, but from within you, where instinct and wisdom are about to meet in the very first conversation of the soul. Aries, there are moments in life that feel like the pause between two drum beats, a brief stillness where sound disappears, yet somehow, that silence carries the sacred rhythm of the universe itself. You, child of fire, were born to move, to express, to speak your truth out loud. Action is your nature. But there comes a point in every warrior's journey when the universe tests you, not through chaos, but through quiet. Silence isn't easy. It feels like standing in the middle of a storm, forbidden to move. Like holding a burning secret in your hands, a truth so alive it almost hurts, and still, you must not speak it yet. But that's when the universe is tempering your fire, shaping it into light, not letting it burn you alive. I've seen strong souls fall, not because they failed, but because they spoke too soon. They shared their dreams before they were ready to bloom, and the noise of doubt around them dried up the seed before it could grow. Some miracles only blossom in darkness, nurtured by quiet faith and unseen warmth. You see, Aries, real strength isn't shouting to the world that you're changing. It's smiling in silence, knowing the miracle is already happening even when no one else sees it. Sometimes, keeping your secret gives it density, makes its energy heavier, richer, so powerful that nothing can stop it from manifesting. The fire within you is a sacred gift, but if you don't learn when to hold it and when to release it, that same fire can burn down what you were meant to protect. That's why this is your spiritual discipline, your divine test. And in that moment you choose silence. Something within you begins to shift. You start to hear your intuition more clearly. You begin to feel the heartbeat of your soul. The outer world may still be loud, but inside, a new light starts to rise. The light of awareness, the wisdom born from stillness. Then you realize, Silence isn't emptiness. It's power at rest. It's energy gathering itself for a greater leap forward, like the arrow being pulled back before it flies. If you've ever felt that moment when you wanted to tell someone about the miracle inside you, but held it back because you knew the timing wasn't right, then you've touched a higher layer of your own consciousness. You've understood that silence itself can be an act of faith, a sacred action of absolute trust. There is a quiet beauty in that stillness, one only known to those who've lived it. It's that moment you sit alone in the dark, and suddenly the light blooms from within. That moment you smile, even before the result appears, because deep down you already know the seed has been planted. And you'll notice something else. When you stop needing to prove, you begin to become. When you stop needing to speak, you begin to understand. When you stop needing to be heard, you finally listen. That's when the fire of instinct meets the wisdom of light and the two stop fighting. They merge into one quiet force. Aries. Remember, silence doesn't make you weaker. It makes you refined, profound, and strong in a way the world can't measure. Because sometimes, it's in the very moment you say nothing that your energy works the hardest on your behalf. And when you've walked long enough through that stillness, you'll hear a faint sound, almost imperceptible, like the crack of a seed beginning to break open, ready to reach for the sun. That's when you'll understand stillness was never the end. It was the beginning of a new kind of movement, one you don't control. You simply feel as it gently carries you deeper into the next, light waiting to unfold. Silence is not the space between two sounds. It's the place where the soul can finally breathe. It's where the seed of a dream is buried deep in the soil, waiting for its moment to bloom. Aries, you've lived your whole life in rhythm, the beat of drums, the rush of footsteps, the thrill of instant decisions. But sometimes, the greatest miracle doesn't come from what you do. It comes from what you are wise enough not to do. There's a sacred power in keeping something beautiful, wrapped in silence. When you stop talking about your blessings, you give them room to grow. When you stop trying to prove to the world that you're changing, the world quietly begins to change with you. Just like a seed needs the darkness of the earth before it breaks the surface, your dreams need the quiet to gather strength before they reach the light. In that stillness, you start to hear the rhythm of life itself. You begin to notice the smallest voice within you, the one that's been drowned out by the noise of worry, by the hunger to be seen, to be approved of. And there, in that quiet space, you understand not everything needs to be shared. Not every joy needs to be displayed. Some things are too sacred to be exposed. I've met people who told me they lost their magic right after announcing it. They spoke too soon, and the moment vanished. They shared their love too loudly, and jealousy crept in like a cold wind. Maybe you've felt that too. Now you know there are joys that only stay alive when kept close to your heart, like a small candle. It doesn't need to roar. It just needs to be protected from the wind. Silence isn't avoidance. It's a conscious choice, a statement of faith. It's the deep trust that the universe knows the perfect timing for your bloom. Aries, you have nothing to prove. What's meant for you will find you not through words, but through energy. And in that silence, a profound truth unfolds. When you stop trying to hold everything, things begin to find their way back to you. You don't have to shout that you're worthy. Your peace already says it louder than any voice could. Stillness frees you from the race of the ego and takes you back to the depth of your soul, where your true worth has never depended on applause or attention. Sometimes, in that silence, you may feel alone. But let me tell you this, loneliness is not emptiness. It's the sacred space where energy regenerates. It's the quiet room where you and the universe speak without words. It's the moment you learn the rarest lesson of all, that every great thing begins in silence. Think back, Aries. How many times have you held a dream quietly, told no one, sought no validation, and one day it simply came true, as if the universe had been listening to your whispered prayer carried by the wind? That's proof what you keep sacred stays pure. Silence doesn't kill energy, it deepens it. Every time you choose quiet, you give your soul a chance to work on things your mind can't yet understand. And in that patient stillness, subtle changes begin. Your heart steadies, your spirit softens, your eyes warm with new light. Then one day, when the seed inside you is strong enough, when your inner energy has ripened beyond hiding, you'll see the light return. It won't come with a roar, but with a gentle glow, slipping through the leaves, touching everything you once hoped for, and you'll finally know that silence was never empty. It was sacred preparation for your bloom. The wheel of destiny has begun to turn. No longer are you standing in stillness or waiting in the fog. There's a new feeling in your chest now, as if the pieces of your life are slowly sliding back into their rightful places. Can you feel it, Aries? The air around you is thicker, alive, vibrating as though the universe is arranging something too vast to name. The silence you just walked through was never meaningless. It was like winter for the earth, a season of sacred rest so that when spring finally arrived, every seed could burst to life at once. When you learn not to rush, not to force, not to explain, that's when the universe began to work in your favor. Step by step, energy by energy, person by person, every encounter, every opportunity unfolding to the rhythm of a song only the patient can hear. Let me tell you something, Aries. There are doors that only open when you're calm enough to stand still before them. If you push too hard, they close tight. But when you relax, they open softly, as if they've been waiting for you all along. That's how the universe works. It never punishes. It waits until you're ready to step into the room of blessing. And maybe, just maybe, as you listen now, you're already standing at that doorway. The movement of destiny rarely arrives with fireworks. No trumpet, no sign in the sky, just a morning when you wake up and feel lighter. Your reflection looks brighter. Your path feels clear. Maybe a message arrives out of nowhere, a payment you weren't expecting, or a chance so small it almost slips by, yet it opens a current that carries you exactly where you belong. Some call this a realignment, but I call it something softer, the kindness of the universe. It's clearing space for what truly deserves to stay. Yes, some people may drift away. Some doors may close. Some plans may pause mid-journey. But please understand, that's not loss. That's grace. What no longer fits will quietly dissolve, so that new light has room to pour in. Aries, you've weathered so many storms. You've rebuilt from ashes no one thought you could rise from. And now, as the light returns, let yourself believe you are worthy. The universe didn't make you wait to hurt you. It made you wait to strengthen you, to deepen you, to prepare you to hold what's coming next. Because sometimes, receiving the blessing is easy, but keeping it with wisdom, with balance, that's the true journey. Look back for a moment. Every challenge, every scar was teaching you that light only matters when it's been born from the dark. No night is ever wasted because it's in the night that the seed of tomorrow is planted. Now, as sunlight begins to spill back into your life, open your heart and let it in without fear. Don't run toward the future with anxiety. Walk slowly with gratitude. Whisper to yourself, I am ready to receive in stillness. And when you do, you'll feel it, a warmth threading through every cell. You won't need to see the whole path. You'll just know you're being guided. Because the universe has never abandoned those who listen. Now that the wheel has begun to spin again, a new test is also unfolding. It doesn't come to scare you, but to remind you that blessings are never complete until they're used with love and with purpose. Not everyone realizes this. But sometimes when light arrives, it doesn't just bring joy, it brings a reminder. Aries, when the wheel of destiny finally turns in your favor, when good things begin to flow into your life again, you may notice a quiet feeling hiding inside the happiness, responsibility. Because light doesn't just illuminate, it also tests. It whispers, now that you've been given this, what will you do with it? The Justice card never shows up by accident. It's not about punishment, it's about balance. It tells you that everything you're receiving now is not luck, not coincidence, but the result of every small, noble choice you once made in moments of darkness. When you chose kindness over bitterness, when you chose patience instead of revenge, when you stayed silent instead of fighting to be right, each of those moments planted a seed of grace, and now those seeds are finally blooming. But here's the mystery. When blessings start to pour in, the universe watches even closer. The more you're given, the more you're tested. It wants to see, will you use your light to guide others or only to shine on yourself? Aries, your strength has always been fiery and bold, but now your power must take a new shape, the shape of gratitude. Because gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's an action. It's how you treat what's been entrusted to you. When you use your blessing to lift someone else, the wheel of destiny keeps spinning this time, not only for you, but for everyone you touch. I've seen many believe that success is the finish line. But in truth, it's only a doorway into a new chapter. How you use what you've been given. You can keep it all for yourself, or you can turn it into a river that never runs dry. Some, after pain, choose quiet peace, and that's beautiful. But others pick up the light in their hands and carry it out into the world, shining for the souls still wandering through the dark they once knew. Both paths are loved, but the second understands something deeper. A blessing is only complete when it's shared. You may ask, what should I do with this gift? The answer is simpler than you think. Use it consciously. If you're given opportunity, create one for someone else. If you're given faith, pass that faith along. If you're given love, love in a way that makes the world gentler. The universe doesn't bless us to make us better than others. It blesses us to make us useful to others. And once you understand that, everything inside you softens. You stop fearing loss because you realize the flow only ends when you stop giving. And in that very moment, a second light begins to appear, the light of wisdom and compassion. It's not blinding, but steady. It teaches you that blessings aren't trophies to keep, they're tools to build with. And the most beautiful thing isn't being chosen, it's being trusted. Trusted to give, to guide, to become part of something larger than yourself. So if one day life hands you a great gift, ask yourself softly, who will I help first? That answer will shape your destiny. And when you act with that kind of heart, everything you touch begins to glow. Because light, once shared, never disappears. It simply becomes another flame, steady, gentle, and strong enough to lead you into the next chapter of your soul's journey, where heart and action move together as one fire guiding the way. Sometimes, a moment arrives so softly, no noise, no warning, just a gentle warmth passing through your heart, and somehow, you know, it's time. Not time to wait, not time to question or seek permission, but time to move. Aries, your soul will recognize that instant the moment it comes. It's unmistakable, peaceful, but powerful. A quiet voice inside you will whisper, "This is the moment I am being called." When faith and action meet, a sacred door opens. It's not ahead of you, not behind you, it opens right beneath your feet. Every time you choose to believe and step forward, the ground appears a little more. You don't need to see the entire road, you only need to take the first step. Because that's the language of faith, the one the universe understands best. Aries, you are the sign of movement. But this action, this one is different. It's not reaction, it's alignment. It's your soul moving in rhythm with divine timing. When you hear the call, you don't run out of fear of missing out, you move because your heart knows that if you don't, the miracle might pass you by. There are windows of energy that open only for a moment, and when they close, you may have to wait a whole new cycle to try again. Remember this, Aries. Faith isn't sitting still, praying, and waiting for life to change. True faith is standing up even while afraid, even without proof, and walking forward, trusting that the universe will lay the path as you move. That's the courage of a matured soul, knowing you can't control what's ahead, yet choosing to walk into it anyway, with love and trust as your only guides. You've learned patience, you've learned silence, you've learned to listen. Now, you're being asked to learn the final lesson of this season, to act when guided by spirit. Go where your heart pulls you, even if your mind doesn't understand. Say the words you've been afraid to say. Send the message you've been holding back. Step into the place that calls you, even if no one else tells you to go. Because sometimes one small step can shift the entire orbit of your life. It might be as simple as pausing in the middle of the street and looking up, seeing a sign you can't explain. Or turning down a different road one ordinary afternoon and meeting the person who changes everything. Believe me, nothing is random. When faith meets action, destiny rewrites itself. You might think you're not ready, but let me tell you something. Aries, no one ever is. Readiness doesn't come first. It's born the moment you take the step. The universe doesn't need you to be perfect. It just needs you to be honest with what you feel inside. When you follow that truth, everything else begins to align. Faith doesn't need evidence. If you wait for clear signs before you act, you'll miss the very moment the miracle was meant to unfold. Faith is stepping forward while everything is still blurry, saying yes to the journey before knowing where it leads. And when you do that, light finds its way to you. If you're hearing these words now, and you feel something stirring in your chest, a quiet rush of energy, a pull to do something you can't explain, that's your sign. That's the universe saying, go, the time is now. Write these words somewhere, if they resonate with you. I trust divine timing, not for the world to see, but for your soul to remember. And when you finally move, you'll realize that miracles don't wait at the end of the road, they bloom in every step you take. With each breath, you'll feel the ancient fire within you rise, the fire of faith, of love, of purpose. And when you let that fire lead, it won't just light the path ahead of you, it will awaken the light in every soul walking beside you. Before the world even notices the miracle that has unfolded, pause for a moment and say thank you. Not to anyone in particular, but to the unseen hands that guided you here. To the nights you waited with patience, to the heart that refused to give up. Because sometimes, the greatest victory isn't found in what we gain, but in the calm we manage to keep along the way. Let your miracle be told through the peace on your face, through the light in your eyes, through the way you choose to live, with a little more kindness each day. Thank you, Aries, for listening with your heart and believing with your soul. May you walk in peace, in clarity, and may you always be guided by love and by the sacred timing that was written just for you.